Imagine a world where 1 out of every 2 people you know suddenly vanishes. Your family, your friends, your neighbors. Gone. This isn't a scene from a disaster movie. This was the grim reality for millions during the mid-14th century. I'm a historian, and today we're going to journey back in time to unravel one of the most devastating pandemics in human history, the Black Death. So, what exactly was this terrifying pestilence? The Black Death was a pandemic caused by the bacterium Yersinia pestis. We now know it has 3 main forms: bubonic, septicemic, and pneumonic. The most common was the bubonic plague, named for the painful, swollen lymph nodes, or buboes, that appeared on its victims. It was primarily transmitted by fleas that lived on black rats, which were stowaways on merchant ships crisscrossing the globe. Our story begins not in Europe, but likely on the steppes of Central Asia, in the 1330s. From there, it traveled along the bustling Silk Road, the ancient network of trade routes connecting the East and West. By 1346, it had reached the Black Sea port of Kaffa, a Genoese trading hub. What happened there is the stuff of historical legend. The Mongol army, who were besieging the city, allegedly catapulted plague-infected corpses over the city walls. This is often cited as one of the first known instances of biological warfare. When the Genoese traders fled Kaffa, they didn't just carry silks and spices back to Europe. They carried the plague. In October 1347, 12 ships docked at the Sicilian port of Messina. The locals were horrified by what they found. Most of the sailors aboard were either dead or gravely ill, covered in black boils that oozed blood and pus. The authorities hastily ordered the death ships out of the harbor, but it was too late. The plague was on European soil. From Sicily, the disease spread like wildfire. It swept through Italy, then to France, Spain, and England. By 1351, it had engulfed almost the entire continent, from the Mediterranean coast to the shores of the Baltic Sea and deep into Russia. No one was safe. It struck cities and rural villages, rich and poor, young and old. Life in the mid-14th century was completely upended. People were terrified. They didn't understand germ theory. They didn't know about bacteria or fleas. They looked for explanations everywhere. Many believed it was a divine punishment from God for humanity's sins. This led to the rise of the flagellants, groups of religious zealots who would travel from town to town, publicly whipping themselves to atone for their sins, hoping to appease God's wrath. Unfortunately, their travels likely helped spread the disease even further. Others looked for escape. Tragically, Jewish communities were frequently blamed, with absurd accusations that they had poisoned the wells. This led to horrific persecutions and massacres across Europe, a dark chapter within an already dark period. Medieval medicine was powerless against the plague. Doctors, with their bird-like masks filled with aromatic herbs, tried various remedies based on the theory of miasma, or bad air. They prescribed bloodletting, lancing the buboes, and all sorts of strange potions, none of which worked. Many doctors and priests, the very people on the front lines, died in droves trying to help the sick. The sheer scale of death was overwhelming. In cities like Florence, so many died so quickly that there was no one left to perform proper burials. Chronicler Agnolo di Tura wrote of his experience in Siena: "Buried my 5 children with my own hands, and so many died that all believed it was the end of the world." Mass graves were dug, bodies piled up in the streets. Society, as they knew it, was collapsing. The immediate aftermath was chaos. With so many workers dead, farms were left untended, and animals roamed free. This led to widespread famine, adding another layer of suffering. But as the first wave of the plague subsided around 1351, Europe began to change in profound and unexpected ways. The most significant change was economic. With up to half the population gone, there was a severe labor shortage. This was actually a good thing for the surviving peasants and workers. Suddenly, their labor was valuable. They could demand higher wages, better working conditions, and more freedom. The old feudal system, which tied serfs to the land, began to crumble. This shift in power dynamics contributed to major social upheavals, like the Peasants' Revolt in England in 1381. The Black Death didn't cause these revolts, but it created the conditions that made them possible. The plague also spurred innovation. With fewer people to do the work, there was a greater need for labor-saving devices. Some historians argued this period saw an acceleration in technologies that would lay the groundwork for the Renaissance. People also started to question traditional authority, including that of the Church, which had been unable to explain or stop the pestilence. This growing skepticism and focus on human experience was a hallmark of the Renaissance and the Reformation that would follow. It's crucial to remember that the Black Death wasn't a one-time event. The plague returned in waves for centuries. Though never with the same ferocity as that first outbreak, it left a permanent scar on the psyche of Europe, a constant reminder of the fragility of life. This is reflected in the art of the period, with its focus on death and mortality in the Danse Macabre, or Dance of Death motif, which depicted skeletons leading people from all walks of life to their graves. So why is it important to study the Black Death today? It's a powerful lesson in how a pandemic can reshape society from top to bottom. It shows us how fear can lead to prejudice and persecution, but it also reveals human resilience, our ability to adapt and rebuild in the face of unimaginable catastrophe. The world that emerged from the ashes of the Black Death was, in many ways, the beginning of the modern world we know today. It was a painful, brutal transformation, but a transformation nonetheless. Thank you for joining me on this journey into one of history's darkest, yet most transformative moments. If you found this interesting, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into the past. See you next time.